you're a guy that's been around Chargers football for a very long time. How has this entire program, this franchise, evolved now as you've taken it up here to LA, from your perspective?
Yeah, I think just the culture, man. We're not in it just to be in it anymore. We're fighting. We fight this fight every week. We know what time it is. We know what we're getting ourselves into. And, we know as a unit, as the leaders on the team, that we got to step up and make these plays when it's time to make plays.
Keenan Allen on Sunday Night Football Final. You can watch the entire program until 7 p.m. Eastern, and then you can watch Monday Night Football. Screwed it up. Here we go. Sunday statement. I got Sunday on the brain. Sunday statement time for Week 14. Myles, you are up first in this draft.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I would say Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense, they made a statement yesterday, even though they didn't have the best day against the Cleveland Browns, but Joe Burrow entered that game 0-4 as a starter against Cleveland. And for whatever reason, the Browns just seem to have the Bengals number. I mean, go back to what happened on Halloween, and you can see exactly what usually goes on there. But despite not having Hayden Hurst, who was out with a calf injury, T. Higgins was dealing with a hamstring injury, and he played only a handful of plays, if not just one play in that game. And then Tyler Boyd goes out early on in that game with the finger injury, and Joe Burrow is able to lean on Jamar Chase, and they just get it done. And so now they do have that win against Cleveland. They keep pace with the Baltimore Ravens in that AFC North. And it just seems to me like Cincinnati is as dangerous as any team right now in the American Football Conference. So, I mean, they finally got that win against Cleveland. They needed it. And I really like the way they're playing right now, Mike.
Interesting choice saying the A, the F, and the C. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying interesting choice. A little extra emphasis in the American Football Conference. Mm-hmm. And in the American Football Conference North, the race is on, indeed, between the Bengals and the Ravens. I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins, coming off of injured reserve, re-entering the fray for a team that can't get a whole lot of sustained running from its non-quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's out. Tyler Huntley exited with a concussion. Anthony Brown had to come in. Meanwhile, Dobbins, 15 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown, averaging 8.0 yards per attempt. That's what the Ravens need if they are going to continue to keep pace with the Ravens in an effort to win that division. And remember, the Ravens hold the tiebreaker over the Bengals. So they are up one from earlier this year, and they'll play again down the stretch. But the Ravens, they've created a lot of doubt, blown leads. Just think of how good they'd be this year if they hadn't blown some big leads. They get this thing buttoned up. Now, they got some questions. They got a game on Saturday at Cleveland, and we don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to be back. Probably not for him. Tyler Huntley, it's one fewer day to get cleared to come back from the concussion that he suffered when you're playing on Saturday. But, of any team out there, I wouldn't be overly stressed about Anthony Brown having to hold it down because of J.K. Dobbins, because you've got the running game going, and because their defense showed up pretty big against the Steelers yesterday. I know Mitch Trubisky ended up being pressed into service, but they still got it done.
It's one of those things where you can see the Ravens getting a program win, what I would call it, against the Browns on Saturday, because that's just the way that they are. They understand what they have to do, and then they can go out there and do it. So anyway, for my second pick of the draft, I'm going to go back to Detroit, and let's go with Jared Goff, because I know we talked a little bit about the Lions and how well they played, but you know what? Got to give some props to Jared Goff, because he's playing the best football of his career right now, probably. And that's even considering the fact that I watched him on a day-to-day basis from 2016 through 2018. And, you can say whatever you want about the time that he had with the Rams and with that trade and all these different things. But it looks like right now, Detroit may have found a franchise quarterback in Jared Goff, and I don't think any of us would have expected that when that trade went down as it did, last year. So he's playing really well. He's playing with a lot of confidence, and I think that it's a great thing for Detroit that maybe they can use that Rams pick, which is probably still going to be a top 10 pick, if not top 5, on something else other than a quarterback, and to put that program in even better position going forward.
I think it's easy to overlook because the Rams structured the deal in a way that would cause us to overlook and not notice the fact that they essentially gave up a first-round pick to get Jared Goff's contract off the books, the horrible contract that they felt compelled to give him after Super Bowl 53 at a time when I was saying don't do it. They thought I was crazy. They acted like I was crazy. Fred Rogan and Sean McVay poking fun, and then they paid him $33.5 million per year, and they regretted it after 2 seasons to the point where they had to give up. F them picks went as far as we're going to attach a pick to this contract. Please take him from us. And now the throwaway, the guy that was the burden, the guy that was the albatross has become the answer for the Detroit Lions. It really is amazing. And it makes that trade, even though the Rams won a Super Bowl.
Thank you. Okay.
It makes it a hell of a trade for the Lions. I know. It worked. But you know what? The bill came due. Jimmy Bag of Donuts with one eyebrow has showed up for his money, Sean McVay. It's time to pay, and they're paying up big time this year, and that debt may continue beyond 2022 and 2023 and 2024. All right, next one for me. That's not the Italian you got to worry about when that debt comes due. Next one, I can say that because I'm Italian. Christian McCaffrey, his biggest game yet. As a member of the 49ers, 119 rushing yards, 34 receiving yards, 2 total touchdowns. This is why they gave up a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5. You use the guy, you put him out there. The only caveat is he could get hurt, not because of him, but because of the position he plays. With Deebo Samuel injured, he takes on greater importance, and he got it done yesterday, and the 49ers are pointing in the right direction. Wouldn't it be great if the 49ers and the Panthers cross paths in the playoffs? You get a little Christian McCaffrey revenge game. I kind of like that possibility.
Yeah, that would kind of be fun. I mean, maybe it happens if the 49ers end up as the 2 seed and the Panthers sneak. Well, no, they can't do that. Well, they would come in as the 4 seed. I don't know how that would work. Would that have to be in the NFC Championship game? Or maybe
they'd have to win. The Panthers would have to win the wild card round, and then we'd see how it plays out after that, depending upon the other wild card outcomes.
Yeah, that's math. There's something in playoff scenarios, and I'm not Steve Kornacki, so I can't really figure that out.
They could meet in the division round. Yes.
Okay.
Go.
Last pick. All right, let's do it. Evan Engram from the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what? He had a really good game. And this is one of those deals where you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Evan Engram, that becomes the primary target for Trevor Lawrence. And the answer is yes. And look, I mean, when you have a game like that, it's like you said earlier in the show, Mike, well, why can't you do it every week? But when you have 162 yards and that sets a new career high, and you're playing as he did against the Tennessee Titans team that you just expect to be able to bottle things up better defensively, then that says a lot about what the Jaguars can do. Can they do it on a week-to-week basis? I don't know. I frankly don't have a lot of faith that they will, especially with the way they peed down their leg in Detroit last week. But if for at least one day, Evan Engram had a really, really terrific game, and it helped the Jaguars win in Nashville.
Nobody cares about my fantasy team, me included, but I will admit this. I needed a tight end this past week because of the mega 16 bye, and I had Evan Engram on the screen. And it's like, nah, pass on Evan Engram. I still won, but that's why I hate fantasy football. You're always going to screw it up. No matter what you do, you're going to make bad decisions. All right, Bills made a great decision taking Greg Rousseau in the first round. I'm going to circle back to that game, not just because Rousseau got on the phone with me afterward, but he had 2 sacks. It was their first game after knowing that Von Miller is not walking back through that door this year. That defense has to step up without him. He's not going to come riding in on a white horse. Remember, he said he was going to play the Jets game just a couple of weeks ago on the Voncast. And everything's pointing in that direction. They put him on injured reserves. Like, nah, you're not. Nah. But you could still be back. Then last week, the exploratory surgery, like it's 1912, and they find the torn ACL. And apparently, it is not an uncommon thing. Although it just seems weird to hear the term exploratory surgery. They find the torn ACL. They got to go forward without him. Russo had 2 sacks, had the forced fumble, part of a broader defensive effort that hit Mike White hard. And again, Tua. Saturday night, they're not going to go easy. They've lost to the Dolphins. They're going to be coming after them with everything they have, and Rousseau leading the charge, fulfilling his potential. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.